All right, last question for this Q&A. Omar and I were in, I think I was in Austin. I was at F1 with Omar.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
One of the questions he was asking me, he was like, yo, Kay, like, how much you think you really need for like retirement? And then, you know how I always nuance everything. What I would
if you're
say,
like old girl from video 2, you need 660. Remember that?
right, yeah. I mean, but but maybe, you know
That's
what I'm saying,
her number,
that works
that's
for
her
her.
number. Yeah.
That's a scary number for a couple reasons, right? And so the more financially astute I get, the more I'm like, oh, well, what about inflation? Because if you look at inflation in Turkey, it's like real crazy. Or Argentina, I think the 2008 crisis or a previous crisis where they couldn't give their money out of the bank account. It's insane, right? And so when you start factoring all that stuff in to give somebody advice, you'd be bruh, I don't know.
It's a lot, yeah.
But what I would say is know like your numbers and your lifestyle and what you're trying to accomplish. Like I say like my next goal is 3. And then 5 is I would consider myself like lucky to get the 5 and I will. And then after that is just like, I mean that's what I call like philanthropy and like balling out money like after 5. But I would say 3. Yeah, so the context is,
You gotta tell them the number.
Yeah, so 3 million.
Okay.
But the reason why I said that specifically to Omar is because people in tech tend to make high 6 figures.
Right, and Omar works for Amazon.
And Omar works
and
for
makes a great salary.
And Omar works for Amazon. Right. And that's why I said that specific number. And I'm very cognizant that 3 million is not like a realistic goal for everybody.
Right.
But what is a realistic goal is planning out how much your expenses are now and then what it would take to really like retire. So start playing around with like investment and retirement calculators and stuff like that. Cause I think like it's key to always model that stuff out. Like you gotta like write goals down. I still write down, I still do yearly goals. I still add numbers. So when I'm throwing numbers out, I'm not just throwing out a random number. It's like the next goal. Could I tell you, 50 million, like all this stuff, all those other numbers about wealth or large numbers like, I'll make 10 million, it's like high, or Ethereum to the moon, then you still got to break stuff down into like manageable steps. And so that's the next manageable step that I can see. I'm like, okay, if my investments do 10% over X amount of years, plus if this podcast does X, plus if my coaching business does X, then that's 3 million in the next 4 years, right? It can happen sooner if these things take place. It can happen later. That's why I like the goals important. So I throw a number out there because most people, they want to shy away from the number, but you got to have something you're aiming for. I've seen some of my other friends' numbers and they're larger, but the number doesn't matter, but having a number matters. Having an economic plan matters. And so...
so like to that point, one thing I used to tell people when they'd be like, when are you going to retire? And I'd be like, retirement is not based on an age. It's a number to me. I mean, honestly, you make a certain amount of money or you get a certain amount of money through whatever means, entrepreneurship. I mean, I think that determines a retirement time before a number, before an age, I'm sorry.
Yeah, agreed. I mean? And then it's so nuanced because what is retirement? To me, like retirement is what people do when they don't like what they're doing.
Right. Right.
And then from what I've read online...
You never truly retire if you love what you're doing.
Exactly. Gotcha. And then I think like most old people, don't quote me on this, maybe there's something out there, but most old people, when they stop working and stop, doing active stuff, they tend to die sooner. I think I've read that somewhere.
Yeah.
But my whole point is...
I heard something like that before too.
Like when we say retirement, it's not retirement as in quit your job, quit everything you're doing. It's the number where you got you money, where something happened tomorrow, you still can go travel, you still got your monthly income, you could quickly flip some of your index funds or some of the stuff that you're getting dividends off of and live off of that, or live off of your business or live off of your podcast revenue and something like that. So it's like when you don't need anything anymore, to me, that's what I call retirement. But you could run your own business and do a whole bunch of other stuff. Like it's just like a term. I don't think it's the appropriate term, like in the formal sense of I'm gonna retire and go live in
I think Florida. Freedom is a better way to say it.
When are you going to be financially free, or what's your financially free number plan? And then when you get there,
choosing to work or choosing to do whatever.
Perfectly put. What's the number that you can choose to or not to work and still be able to maintain everything? Because perfect way to say it.